week we're making strawberry pie. Strawberry pie is something that we do every year around my house for Mother's Day. My mom did it for her mom, and so I can't do it for my mom. She's too far away, but I still make it just because it's Mother's Day. So if you look at what I have here, it's not a lot. I have a pie crust. I actually made this pie crust, and I baked it in the oven for 8 to 10 minutes on 375 until it was brown. I brought it back out. I let it cool, and then I put my strawberries in here whole. I've taken the time to cut out the stems on each one of these before I put it in there. And what I'm going to do now is make the mixture that goes over the top of them. So our ingredients for this: at least 1 quart of strawberries. If your house is like mine, you need to buy 2 or 3 quarts of strawberries because they'll eat them before you can make the pie. Then you'll need 6 tablespoons of cornstarch. You'll need 2 cups of sugar and water. That's essentially all there is to this besides the pie crust. Now, if you don't want to make your own pie crust, you don't have to. They make them in the grocery store. So I'm going to take this one, that was my oven beeping, and I'm going to bake this one for 8 to 10 minutes until it's brown, and then we'll have 2 pies instead of 1 in case somebody nibbles on it before tomorrow, which is when we're planning to eat it. All right, so let's go to the stove. We got this ready. Those are for the second pie. This is cornstarch, sugar, and water. And what I have over here, if you look down in the pot here, what I have over here is water. This is 2/3 cup of water. There's a couple of strawberries in there. I always try to pick the ones that, you know, maybe are not the brightest red, or, you know, maybe not the prettiest. They're still good, but they're just not the prettiest ones. And so I'll put those in the water, and then I'll turn the heat up. I turned it down because I wasn't ready, but I'm ready now. So I'll turn the heat back up, and this will start boiling. And then what happens is that the color will bleed from the strawberries into this water. So we're gonna boil this about 3 minutes. So I'll be right back with you in 3 minutes. Okay, we're back. And now if you look down in here, you see my water looks pink now, doesn't it? Yep, it's pink. And so I'm gonna pour in this substance that we put together earlier. This is sugar, cornstarch, and water. And I pour this into the pot. And then what I'm gonna do is stir it a lot. So I don't leave the stove. You know, some things you could simmer and walk away. I don't leave the stove for this. You have to stand here with it, or your sugar will eventually get stuck to the bottom of your pot, and that's a nightmare. We don't want to do that. But that's what we do. So we're going to cook this until it becomes clear and very syrupy. So I'll show you that in a few minutes. Okay, so if you look down, you can start to see now that it's starting to thicken. It's not there yet, but it's really close. So you just have to, again, keep your eye on it. Sometimes you want to cut this heat back. This stove is fairly new to me, and I really like it, but it gets hot, and it gets hot fast. Okay, so keep watching this sugar because it is going to be good to go in a couple minutes. So once it starts boiling, you want it to boil for about 1 to 2 minutes, and then you'll notice that you have this beautiful mixture. And there are, I know you can find this in the grocery store, but this is not what's in the grocery store. The stuff in the grocery store is, no hating, but oh my God, it doesn't taste anything as good as this. And it's so worth doing. So I haven't been working very long at this, just a few minutes. Anybody can do this. Anybody can do this pie. And so that's why I like to do it. My mom made it, like I said earlier, she made it for her mom. And I asked her about it, you know, how did this come about? And I said, did grandmother make one for her mother? And she was like, no, this is something that she did for her mom. Oh, look, it's pretty, look. All right, so you see how that is? It's so beautiful. All right, so now I'm into that last 1 minute of cooking. And what's gonna happen is once this is done in 1 minute, I'm gonna turn it off and I'm gonna let it cool. Once it's cooled, I will pour it over the strawberries. I will take these out Everybody doesn't like these, even though you can still eat them. But most of my children don't like to see them in the pie, so I take them out. But you could still eat them. Okay, so very, very good. Looks really nice. I am loving it. Had a question that came in. They said, well, how did you start cooking? And I'm like anybody. My mom cooked, and so I cook. But my mom was a home economics major. She probably doesn't want me to tell that, but before she went back to school and got a master's and something else. But she was a home economics major, and so making our house a home was really what she did best, and still does to this day. And so she had something called Today's Cooking Lesson, where she would make my sister and I, because we didn't want to at the time, but she'd make us learn how to cook. So that's how this started. And once I moved to Georgia from Michigan, I started using the recipes and the things that she taught me, as a salve, something that kind of healed my heart, because I didn't like being that far away from home. But I was here, it was good, and now things are better. And so I used food. Don't use food to heal your problems. All right, so our time limit has expired. And, oh, 1 second. And now we're gonna let this cool. I'm gonna take that pie crust out of the oven. This is perfect. You see that? It's so pretty. Do not taste this now. You will burn your mouth and be in the emergency room. Okay? So keep the kids back. All right. Be back as soon as this is cool. Okay, so I am ready to pour this over those strawberries in the pie plate. I've taken out the soft ones. And, you could come up with something to do with these. If you chop them up, you can put them right over your ice cream. It would be delicious. But everybody's different. My mom likes them inside the pie, I think. Let's go. All right, so here's our pie crust from earlier. We have whole strawberries in here. And then I have some other strawberries here I'm going to make a second pie with, because my persnickety daughter likes her strawberries sliced. So you say, well, why should I slice them or don't slice them? You're supposed to make them whole, with whole strawberries. When you make them with sliced strawberries, what happens is your crust gets wet later. So you cut them all up into, pretty, it looks beautiful. But then later on, when it's time to eat it, they will, the crust will be wet. So this is how I do mine. And then I do some slice for my persnickety daughter, and then everybody's happy. All right, so here's that syrup. 27,000 times better than that stuff in the grocery store. It didn't take long to get to this point at all. All right, now you don't have to fill it all the way to the top. I just fill it about halfway, because I am going to be putting a whipped topping over all of this when it cools down some more. All right, so that looks pretty good. I'm sure the peanut gallery would love for me to fill it all the way up, but that is not how we do it. All right, I do have a taste tester. Would you like to taste test it? Here, on your finger. That is good. She'll be waiting for this pot, but I can't give it to her yet. All right, so once this cools, we'll put our whipped topping over it, real pretty, stick it in the refrigerator, and we are done. Let it cool, stay in the fridge, everything congeals, and then we'll slice it later and we'll have a piece. Okay, here's our finished product. So this is what we did yesterday. We made the strawberries, we poured the glaze over it, I covered it with a whipped topping, and then I put it in the refrigerator. And so it's been in the refrigerator since yesterday. So I'm gonna cut a slice. And if you remember, we made two. I did one with cut strawberries, and then I did one with whole strawberries to try to see which is better, because my mom says, and it's Mother's Day, that the whole strawberries comes out better than the cut strawberries. Ooh. Now, I will say, They both have some running over going on in here. But the cut strawberries, it was a lot of liquid running over as opposed to this one, which is just a little bit. Okay, so this is our pie. You can kind of look on the inside there. All the goodness is in there. And regardless of how it looks, oh my God, you'll never go without it again on Mother's Day. So here's our pie. I have no fork. Oh my God, what happened? How about this? Oh, there's the helper. All right, here's our pie. Sorry. You want to try it? Oh my God, it's so good. Here, Renna, you want to try a little piece? Strawberries and whipped topping and sugar and how is it? Good stuff. All right, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll talk to you another time.